This is like advice for the young at heart. Advice for the young at heart. Or just the young. I had someone comment on one of my YouTube pages recently. I'm not going to get into even what they said because they apparently they embarrass easily. They gave me a piece of advice which was just totally wrong. And I'm going to do a video on that, a real short one, to get rid of this horrible clue, or rather this horrible theory about Homer Brown, because it's so wrong. I'll probably do it today. It's going to take about 2 minutes. But he had this theory that was just I've seen before. I've seen people that have even appeared on the professional Forrest Fenn shows have pushed it, and it's a wrong theory, but I won't get into it. And it's easily proven wrong just by going to what Fenn has said and stuff. But anyway, so he posted this thing, and I wrote back, and I said very nicely, I said, I don't want to offend you, but you're totally wrong. I said, this is wrong, here's the quote to prove it, here's the quote to prove it. He deletes it. He deletes the quote, and then he deletes my reply, because on YouTube, if you delete your post, then you delete any replies. So I'm looking for my reply because someone else had liked my reply. So when I go to see my reply to his comment, my reply is gone, his comment's gone, and the like is gone. They're all gone. Now, do I care that my thing got deleted? No. What I care about are two things, and these are two very important things. And this is why it is so critical that people watch these videos.
This is a warning.
Deep
Please be advised, a purge for
deep
subscribers is occurring.
And I am
Take
going to put a
shelter if
subscribe button on
necessary,
there, because I'm
but don't
realizing
forget to
I
subscribe.
want people to see my videos. I've not really cared up until now. I'm not being coy or anything.
This is a warning.
I started off
This is a
doing this
warning.
because I really like
Please
to
be
do
advised,
videos,
a
and
plea
I'm
for
pursuing my
subscribers
trips.
is occurring.
Trips
Take
on
shelter
videos
if
and all this
necessary,
causes me.
but don't forget
If
to
I look back,
subscribe.
what gets views is me sitting down and partying, talking about the Fenn hunt with you, basically. The ones where I'm out in the not in the wilderness, but the ones where I'm out boots on the ground, I seem to get a hardcore group of people that are boots on the ground people, or people that want to be boots on the ground people, and they enjoy watching what it's like to be boots on the ground, or they actually like seeing places that I've been where they're thinking of going or have heard of being, because they're all the places I've gone so far are places that searchers have thought of, so they're never real far out. I mean, as far as an idea for a place to go. So what was my point? Anyway, getting back to this thing with this guy deleting, I'm assuming he's a young guy, but he had deleted his post, and it was a dumb post. But that's okay, because I know where he got this idea from, and he wasn't the first one to think of it, and other people that probably should know better had already thought of it and had posted it out there in their ideas as a theory. So here's my 2 words of wisdom from an older person coming to, I assume, is probably a younger person or anyone else who cares to listen. 2 big words of advice I've gotten from getting older. There are not a lot of benefits to getting older, okay? If you have kids, and I don't, but if you have kids and grandchildren, I would assume from what I hear, watching them grow older and stuff is a big benefit to getting older. Unfortunately, I also know people that their kids getting older has not been a boon to their life at all. In fact, it's caused a lot of problem, in some cases legal problems. So I'm just, the whole thing is, I've heard more than one person tell me, if I had it all to do over again, I'm not sure I would have had, But I've also heard people say the most wonderful thing they have in their life is their kids or their grandkids. So, that's all well and good. Here's my words of advice. Oh, and I was going to say, and the other thing about getting older is, hopefully you get a little wiser, or you learn. I mean, that's where I can honestly say, see, I was so dumb when I was younger, though, because I was doing things that just kept my brain from, well, anyway. 2 words of advice. Don't be afraid of being wrong. God, I have met so many people in my life, grown adults, older adults, elderly adults, that are still would rather be right than be right, if you know what I'm saying. It's more important that they be viewed as having been right. And if you went to them and said, we're going to let everyone think you're right, but technically you're wrong. Would you prefer we correct their misunderstanding and tell them you're wrong and why, or let them know that, or just tell them you were right? And they go, oh yeah, just keep telling them I'm right. And it's just sad that you're still at that point in life. And the other thing is, because this guy hit both of them. He deleted a post that I corrected very easily, and I think it embarrassed him. And I think he didn't like it that I proved him wrong. So the other thing is you don't want to worry about as you get older is, and I know it's not as easy as it sounds, and it takes people time to get there if they ever do. Don't worry about what other people think. I can kind of understand why you'd get rid of the comment, but because you feel kind of like I don't know, it makes you look better. You should have known better or something. But for God's sakes, it wasn't that big a deal. Let it sit out there. Let my reply sit out there so that people learn something. All right, enough of that. All right, so I just went through clues where clues turned up, and I'm going to go through quickly because Carly. It's a great idea, but boy, oh boy. You knew what you were doing when you asked me to do this one because, trying to look up the word clue, really, with Forrest Fenn Treasure Hunt in the community, in all the archives, video and written, I couldn't do all of them. I literally couldn't. There were so many. Many are giving serious thought to the clues in my poem. Only a few are in tight focus with a word that is key. A lot of people wonder that word is key. That key word is. There have been some who have been within 500 feet because they have told me where they have been. Others have figured the first 2 clues and walked right past them. Well, it says went right past the treasure and didn't know it. I've heard in other things he says walked past the treasure. The first 2 clues seem to be the 2 clues that he says people have found them. A lot of people think, I personally think the clue, here we go again. I was on a blog this morning. Today is the 15th. Of July. I was on a blog this morning and someone was discussing the whole concept of Forrest Fenn talking about in the beginning all you needed was the poem. Well, then it seemed like maybe you need the book to have some hints. Not clues, but hints. The clues are in the poem, hints are in the book. He has made that very distinction. The clues are in the poem, 9 clues. I say I don't know how many clues are in the poem because it depends on how I read it. But for him, I think he has said there are 9 clues in the poem. And then there are hints in the book that help you, give you more understanding of the poem. Iced coffee. Love this stuff. Well, I've been through my boots on the ground 4 times out in Colorado. Then I had the brilliant idea that the Where Warm Waters halt is actually all of the hot springs and all the waters boiling around Yellowstone. Totally not an original idea. Dale Neitzel, I saw on his page today, that was one of his big clues years ago, was that it must be Yellowstone. Of course, West Yellowstone is where the Fenns lived when they went up every 3 months from Texas. So I now kind of think it's in Yellowstone, but as was pointed out in this blog today, in the beginning it was just the poem. And he let out a very few hints in interviews and stuff, and he would say, well, I'll tell you, it's up in the mountains north of Santa Fe, and that's all he said in the beginning, folks. He had a poem. I know Gypsy's Kiss has discussed this. That's why they're in New Mexico. So, and people were saying, well, you know, people were discussing this morning on one of the comment sections about how, well, you know, oops.